Well, it's Friday morning. It's 9:10. I've just seen Harry off to school. And, oh, let's just have a bit of this. Earl Grey. Oh, that's good. So, I had the strangest dream last night. Well, it was a nightmare, actually. I dreamt that that I took the end flange off the Rotax actuator, and the limit switch housing was absolutely corroded almost to nothing. It was horrible. I woke up sweating. Anyway, oh, it wasn't a dream. It really is corroded. Right. Let's work out what we're going to do about it. Oh dear. So, as I alluded to in the previous video, we have some corrosion problems with these limit switches. And so what's gone on in here then? Well, I look at that and the first thing that I think of is atrophy. it's tried to go back to nature, basically. So what I think has happened is that inside this housing, which has been sealed up for 50 odd years, perhaps more, we've had condensation in there through atmospheric conditions wherever it was stored, and that moisture has provided the electrolyte which has started off this corrosion. So when magnesium alloy corrodes, which is what the body of this is made out of, we end up with two things: magnesium hydroxide plus hydrogen. And then as the atmosphere inside there starts to reduce, we end up with magnesium carbonate. So there's two different things in there, potentially magnesium hydroxide and magnesium carbonate. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is what's not in there, and what's not in there is serviceable switches. So we've really got some serious corrosion products going on. I mean, look at that. My goodness me. It's like limescale. We have here, look, this is, do you remember I said to you that in aircraft, blue means a ground? So here is the ground lead coming in from the breeze connector, and that's bolted to this other lead, which has got a blue sleeve on it because it's a ground, and that's disappearing up inside the actuator body. So where that's going is to the top end where we measured it earlier on, and we saw that we had 0.2 ohms. Excuse me. So the reason that tested out good was because of this bolt connecting these two things together. But what this bolt or stud is supposed to be connected to as well is the frame of the actuator. So you can see it's completely corroded off, look. So basically that would have bonded the whole of the body of the actuator to ground, and then that wire would have run up inside there and gone to the armature. So we can see down here there appears to be a washer, which will have been part of that assembly, that nut and bolt or stud. And there's an insulating spacer here, and I think that is the remains of the bit that this corroded off of. So that'll be some kind of stud down there. And we've got an interesting objet d'art down here next to this big lump of corrosion. If I can get that out of the way, as we carry on this post-mortem on Mr. R.O. Tax, excuse me, who was about 60 years of age. Cause of death is severe atrophy. Right, so let's get this out. Aha, right, that looks like that looks to me rather like some kind of a contact out of one of these switches. So why has it ended up there? Well, what I think these switches are, they're not actually micro switches in the sense that we would think of them as discrete components. I think they're actually just, I'll try and show you this in a minute, it's a U-shaped Bakelite channel, if you like, and inside there are discrete limit switches, or brass contacts essentially, with a small operating button just here where the tweezers are pointing. So as the camera rotates, it operates these brass contacts that are shrouded by this Bakelite channel. So that's what we've got there. So obviously you can see that you know, having picked up that piece of metal that was some kind of a contact, it's kind of obvious why this wasn't working, and why we had 25 meg ohms or whatever it was between the switch and the field and the soldered joint. So what we'll do is we'll vacuum out all this corrosion, and we'll remove these contacts. We'll have a look at them, see what they're like, and then what I'd like to do is get all this cleaned up, and then using the conductors that we've got here, once we get these switches out, we can measure the field coils of the motor and make sure that they're okay, and also we can rig these conductors together so we get a path through the field coil, and we can actually run this up and see if it does work, see if the motor's in decent condition. And the gearbox should be okay, because it should in theory have grease in it, so it should have survived the vagaries of this. And this housing is separate to the gearbox, it's not integral. So that's what we'll do. We'll run it up and we'll see if it works. We'll measure the field coils. It's going to be the strangest will it start video on YouTube, isn't it? Perhaps the most niche one. But I'll bring you back when I'm vacuuming this out. There you go, look, it's not as bad as it looks, is it? Spray a bit of WD-40 in there and she'll be right. Yeah, I don't think so. But having said that, it's a little bit like when you're a child and you fall off your bike, and you've got a wound on your leg that looks as if you're going to die from it, and you go home to your mum and she cleans it up, and it never looks quite as bad then, does it? So as suspected, that is some kind of a stud, or the remains thereof, with an insulating bush that this would have been part of, and that's just corroded off. Thankfully for us, it still maintained an electrical contact. That's how we managed to measure it up to the armature the other day. So that's disappeared. There's a lot of corrosion still around these limit switches. We've got these two bolts here that pass through. They secure this housing onto the main body of the actuator, and they've got those special nuts that you saw earlier on in the film. So I think what I'll do next is get these switches off. I might have to clean them up a little bit just to see. I'll get some methylated spirits on a cotton bud and just try and clean some of this up and see if we can make out what these are. I mean, that's definitely a slotted screw, but I'm not sure what that is. So I predict that the buzzer is going to be busy today. Yeah, that's definitely a nut. You can see that now, can't you? Now we've got some of the crud off. I wonder if the buzzer takes off corrosion. Well, we're going to find out, I guess. Methylate spirits. Yeah, so that contact there is corroded pretty badly. Right, so we can kind of see what's right, see, yeah, I think you can see, I'll point it out to you, there's a stub of something there, and I think that's what this that sort of rectangular shaped piece, this, if it'll focus, that's probably where that was prior to the catastrophic events that followed. Right, get some tools out and get these switches off. I'll have to ask for your indulgence a little bit in some of this, because it's a long time since I've touched anything like this. So my memory is sometimes bad as to how these things go together. So do bear with me. Right, that's that screw out, or undone at least. It's got a spring washer on it. and a flat washer. Right, so that's out. It's not 6BA, but it's kind of that size. I don't think it will be 6BA. We'll find out what it is. Right. So, yeah. Let's take this little mica, or yeah, I think it's mica, little mica spacer out, insulating spacer. There you go. Right, I'll bring you in and I'll give you a close-up of this this switch assembly so you can see what it's like. Right, hopefully this is going to stay in focus. So as you can see, it's basically your kind of a standard micro switch mechanism that you'd get in any bog standard common or garden micro switch, but it's in this sort of open channel construction. And there is that little piece that we found that had fallen out. It's there. It's part of the sort of the springing mechanism, if you like, of how the switch operates. So we've got these two contacts here, which are probably the, well, what would they be? Normally closed, I guess. And then we've got another one there, look, for the normally open side. So you can see on this one, you've got the nut there, and if this is the upside down view of the one we've took out, so there's a hex cut out there for the nut. So that means this is an adjuster plate here, look. So if we take that screw out of this adjuster plate, then we'll be able to get to the slotted head of the screw that nut's on the other end of to get this one out. So yeah, just gnarly as a gnarly thing. Absolutely had it. Gone and never to be recovered. But fear not, gentle viewer, because what we can do is we'll just modify this housing to accept just normal common or garden micro switches, of which I have many. So we'll get this thing running again. There's the cam, look, you can see a good view of the cam lobe there that actually operates it. And so the operating button that the cam presses is there, look. If it'll focus. Let's see if I can get it to. There it is. Just come out a bit. So that should be able to be pressed down and spring back. Oh, it does move, look. A little bit. Can you see that? It's moving a bit. But basically, it's never going to play the violin again, is it? So I've snipped the wires off that switch element, and so you can see we've got a yellow sheathed one here which is running down into the body of the actuator. So that is going off to one of the field coils. This one here is running out into the breeze plug. So as I said to you just now, we'll get that screw off there, look. We'll get this adjusting plate off and get that switch off. Hopefully this stays in focus. So you can see what I'm doing. Yes, you can. So I've taken the screw out now that holds on the adjusting plate. Hopefully, I think I need a bigger screwdriver. What am I going to use? Let's have a look. Let's try this one. Tell you what, let's get that wire out of the way first. Oh, that's leaving. Yeah, that's better. Nope. Grandad's screwdriver. Yes. Never lets me down. Right, I'm moving it. Right, now I've got that going. Get the smaller one in again. Right, that's it loose. He says. Come on, here we go. Again, spring washer and flat washer. Out it comes. So I think that should lift up now. Oh no, wait a minute. This one's holding it on as well, look. So Grandad's screwdriver again, I think. Just to now that might be going into one of those special nuts at the back. So let's just see what happens. I don't think it is, but yeah, it's going. I'm moving it. Plus gas. Now that's pretty tough. I'm just wondering, because that lines up with one of the special nuts that we, the much vaunted special nuts that we spoke about earlier on. I'm just wondering if that's threaded into that. Probably is. Right. Oh yes, how much easier has that made it? I love plus gas. Yeah, it's definitely threaded into that nut. The nut's coming off. So that screw goes all the way through this housing into the gearbox part and out the other side. What a rubbish view. That's better. A little bit more, I think. I'll bring you back. Okay, so that was into one of those special nuts on the other side. So that bolt there runs right the way through for about 1 inch to the other side of the gearbox housing. Excuse me. So I'm just going to get a hammer and punch and tap that through. I think I'll put a bit more plus gas down there as well. Or actually, sacrilegious, we'll use the blue can. Well, we would if there was anything in the blue can. So good is it? Never mind. Grandad to the rescue again. I wonder if I contact Plus Gas and tell them my story, they'll sponsor me like Rock Oil sponsored my brother. You never know. I'll bring you back when I've got a hammer and punch. Okay, so that was into one of those special nuts on the other side. So that bolt there runs right the way through for about 1 inch to the other side of the gearbox housing. Excuse me. So I'm just going to get a hammer and punch and tap that through. I think I'll put a bit more plus gas down there as well. Or actually, sacrilegious, we'll use the blue can. Well, we would if there was anything in the blue can. So good is it? Never mind. Grandad to the rescue again. I wonder if I contact Plus Gas and tell them my story, they'll sponsor me like Rock Oil sponsored my brother. You never know. I'll bring you back when I've got a hammer and punch. Okay, small punch. which I've somehow managed to bend. I don't know how, but there you go. Right, apologies if it shakes the camera, but you know, realism, you're in here with me. Here we go. Ah, it's coming out nicely. There she blows. Right, let's get that out. No spring washer this time, but I guess it was peened over, so no need for it really. No need for it. Right, now that is corroded onto the housing, so I'll get something in there and lever it if I can. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's moving. I'm moving it. There we are. Let's have a look and see what kind of a state this one's in. So that goes through to that white sleeved wire there's going through to the breeze plug. That one goes off up inside the actuator to one of the field coils. Right, and that's crusty. Come on. Oh yeah, nasty. Well, I mean, maybe you can see there, look, the switch mechanism is gone from that one, completely gone. So that was the one that wasn't made. So that should have been giving us our... That was the one that wasn't made, yeah. So that was the one that should have been giving us our run into the field coil. So I'll snip those wires and we'll have a closer look at what's going on. So there you are, look. Just nothing left of it. It's completely gone. And the adjustment plate will clean up, obviously, but yeah. That limit switch has breathed its last, I'm afraid to say. So that's what we're left with. And if you cast your mind back to the diagram, the circuit diagram we looked at the other day, we've ended up with the two field wires. So this yellow sleeved one, which is running down through the body of the actuator, and this white sleeved one, which is similarly running down through the body of the actuator. They're the two running to the two split fields. So each one of those goes through its associated split field, and then the other side of that field is connected to the brake pack on the soldered joint, and then through the armature, and then back to ground here. So in theory now, if we connect, because we've removed the limit switches now, there's nothing to stop this motor from running continuously through the gearbox and just spinning this shaft as if it was an ordinary rotary actuator without limit switches, i.e. a geared motor. So what we'll do first is we'll strip the insulation off these. We'll try and measure the field coils. Hopefully they'll be okay. The brake pack coil was, so I've got high hopes. As long as there isn't a break in one of these conductors when they go through there, but there shouldn't be. And then what we'll do is, once we've measured that resistance to the solder joint, we will get the battery out and we'll try and get this thing to run. Right, let's hope this is going to work. I've had these some years, as you can probably tell. I think we're going to end up fully rewiring this thing as well. It's on the cards, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that worked. Do it again. It's not very good. I think this is Fepsil insulation, this. Yeah, it's not quite right, is it? Right, I've shifted your view. I've rotated the Swindons round, and as you can see, I've managed to strip the two field coil wires, and I've put them into the Wago connector for testing. These things are brilliant, by the way, for testing systems. I really advise using them because they just take all that kind of, is it a good connection, worry out of it, all that ambiguity. Here's the other end of the multimeter. Is connected to the solder joint, which you'll remember is the junction between the two split fields and the brake pack coil, and then the brake pack coil runs into the armature. So I'll try and get the multimeter in a position where you can see it properly. That's not bad, is it? Right. Okay. So I don't know which field coil this is, but we'll try one of them. So that's good. We've got 2.3 ohms, or 2.3. So when I push the thing down, look, I get a reliable connection, 2.3 ohms. I said a reliable connection, 2.4 ohms. That's good. That's good. Right, the other one now. Let's try that one. Put the lever down. 2.5. Yeah, 3. What's it doing that for? Ah, I know why. Right, that's not great in there, is it? 2.2 ohms, so that is excellent. So both of those field coils are good at about 2.2, 2.3 ohms. Right, quick explanation of what you see before you hear. So I've got the positive terminal of the battery connected through to one of the field coils that we just measured via this Wago connector. I've got a chocolate block onto the ground, as you can see there. So I put the 2 screws into the brake coil just to hold it in place. And now what should happen now is if I touch this to the negative terminal of the battery, it should just run as a motor in theory. Right, let's have a go. Will it start? The most niche will it start video ever. Right, so that's not running, but it is trying. I can hear it. We're getting a little arc from the battery, so current's definitely flowing. So before, when we started this curious journey, I think I said not a glimmer when I tried to run this up, but we've now got a glimmer of some kind. And I just put my hand there, I can feel that the coil there, the brake coil is getting warm, and the field coils presumably are getting warm as well. So it's trying. I would say every time I do that, it's pulling the full stall current. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll try the other one, the other field, and see what that does. It's unlikely. It looks like we've got other problems here. There's something seized in the gearbox. Right, so this is the brake pack coil coming off now. Right, so right, so I haven't actually fitted the brake pad, so that's okay. Can't have been that. So I can turn that with my hand, the brake disc, and it's turning the motor. I can see the armature going around in there. But with this off, let's try it again and just see what happens, just for the sake of it. Oh, it's definitely trying. Yeah. I think there's some seizure in there somewhere. When I'm turning the brake disc, the motor's trying to go. I'm going to show you that. Right, so you should be able to see. There you go. Look, there's the brake disc, and I can turn that. And here is the brake pack coil. Now I suppose it's more appropriate to describe that as a solenoid when the brake disc, the brake pad is in there rather. That part there, look. That part there forms a solenoid with this electromagnet. Right, so let's test to see if this is working. So here's a screwdriver, which is ferrous. Oh yeah. That immediately acts as a solenoid when I switch on the battery. So that's good. Are you in focus? Yes, you are. Right. It's connected, the battery, and that is definitely, I don't, maybe you can't really tell, but that is trying, without a doubt. So it's going to be pulling the stall current, so I'll take the battery off. I think what we need to do now is get deeper into the gearbox and find out what's causing this motor to not want to run. Right, what I've decided to do, and what seems like a good course of action to me, is because the motor's trying to turn, and I can turn it by hand, there doesn't seem to be any mechanical reason why it isn't turning or working, is I'm going to try and clean the commutator through there, and I'll turn the motor. I think I'm on it. Yeah. Rotate the motor as the cotton bud has got methylated spirits on it. Right, so that's pretty dirty, look, that's come off the commutator. So let's try it again now. So you're in a position where you can see the end shaft there. That should just turn. So let's give it another go and see what happens now we've cleaned the commutator. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's flipped into life. And you can see there, look, the shaft is turning. Well, it's got a... stopped it. Come on. It's not happy, is it? Well, it ran. And that's the main thing. It ran. Right, I've returned from having a cup of tea, and I think what I'm going to do is separate the motor from the gearbox, because I think that the bearings in that motor are pretty ropey. They'll be sealed bearings, and they haven't been rotated probably in 50 years. And, you know, the grease will have all dried out in them, and same for the gearbox as well. So there's bound to be excess friction, although it does seem to turn relatively freely, but there's definitely notchiness there. So I need to split it all apart anyway to get things in the buzzer. So we'll start taking that apart. So I think if we take this screw out here, that should release this plate, the mounting plate for the limit switches, and then that should give us access to the 3 remaining screws on the special nuts that are holding the this front plate on. And then we should be able to get into the gearbox and try and get the motor separated from it. We'll try anyway. So I'm going to try and give it a clean. There's a big lump there that might be stopping it. We'll get the vacuum cleaner in here again as well. And we'll get the plus gas in there too. So I've just turned the vise again so it's horizontal. So the actuator's vertical, I should say. So we'll get some of this in. Let that soak in and do its magic. I'm totally asking these guys for sponsorship, I tell you. Right, we'll bring you back. Right, so I'll let it soak with the plus gas, not sponsored, and I've managed to screw a couple of longish 6BA bolts into where the grub screws, where the micro switches were held in, and that's definitely worked as a lever to help me to get it out. Right, so here it comes. Let's guide it past all the corrosion and crap. Oh dear, look what's in there. That's horrible, isn't it? And there's the other end of that broken off stud, look. Can you see it? So that's what the back of it looks like. There's the insulating bush. Yep, right. Let's get some tweezers in there and get some of these things out. Some of this detritus. I love that word, detritus. Right, tweezers. So we've got... So that was actually a bolt, look. Right, so I'll bring you back when I've cleaned these. Having vacuumed out most of the corrosion, there's still a little bit down there, look. We can now see the two screws that are remaining that hold this housing onto the motor and gearbox assembly. So we'll get those two out and then we can split the motor and gearbox. Let's give it a little tickle, persuade. Yeah, is it coming off? It is coming off, yeah. Oh, I see what's happening. Whoa, good job I noticed that. Right, so that part that's in the vise is part of this. Oh dear, oh that's not good. Right, stop there. Take it out of the vise. Right, so here's what we're left with. This is the motor, and I suspect that probably comes apart more. I'm not sure how, but we'll find out. That pinion there drives the gearbox, and that is pretty solid. Yeah, you can see the armature turning when I turn that pinion, but that's quite stiff because of all that corrosion. That spring there, so these two holes, where the one where the spring is and the one there, they are bearings for the gearbox. That spring gives preload. So I'll quickly show you the gearbox. It's not a planetary gearbox as I thought it might be. It's just a spur gearbox, look. So those two shafts, that one there and that one there, they are born in those two holes adjacent to the pinion. And that turns pretty freely. It seems to anyway. But you can see there's just corrosion throughout this whole thing. It's not good. Not good at all. So I've just tried it again and it didn't work. All stuffed up with corrosion basically. So we're going to get this apart as much as we can. We'll get the gearbox apart and we'll get them into the buzzer. So that's the end of another one. We've discovered why the actuator didn't work. Now we know why. Just corrosion really. And that was the main reason. So we shall be looking at getting some micro switches and see if we can fit them to the micro switch plate so we can get the thing working again. We'll get it cleaned up of all the corrosion, and we'll maybe see if we can change some bearings. I think they're mainly all plain bearings, so I don't think we'll have much joy with that, but we'll see anyway. And yeah, so we'll see you on the next one. Please subscribe to me if you're not already, and please give me a comment, give me a like. It always helps to get a like, so that's good. And it helps me to boost me up with the algorithm, so that always helps. So we'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.